Once upon a time, in a small sun-baked village tucked between rolling farmlands and the winding banks of the Ogun River in western Nigeria, there lived a girl named Kemfad. She was barely 19, with skin like warm bronze and hair always tied in soft, patient knots with a piece of old Ankara cloth. Her eyes, though pale and unseeing, seemed to hold the weight of stories older than the village itself. Kem was blind from birth, but that did not stop her from living. Every morning before the first crowed, Kem would rise, her small hands feeling the edges of the walls as she made her way to the open-air kitchen beside her father's crumbling hut. She would light the fire, sweep the sandy ground, and hum softly, a tune only the spirits of dawn understood. Yet her heart carried a wound. "Papa," she once whispered, "why did God make me this way?" Her father had no answer, only a sigh, only silence. The village of Apanoa was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone. Market women shouted prices louder than the mosque's morning prayer, and children chased goats down red dirt paths. Yet Kem still felt invisible, not because she was blind, but because of how people saw her. Ah, poor girl! Who will marry her now? Blind and broke. They thought she couldn't hear. They were wrong. Her father, Baba Fad, was once a great yam farmer known from Oyo to Abeokuta. Sickness stole his strength, and debt stole his pride. Now he limped behind a rusted cutlass, farming for others just to earn scraps. Kem longed for more, not riches, not sight, just freedom. Freedom to walk without whispers. Freedom to be seen as whole. The day her world began to change, the rain came without warning. Thick drops fell from an angry sky. Thunder cracked like drums in a masquerade procession. Kem stood under the thatched roof, listening. She loved the rain, felt like justice, like the sky was crying for her too. Suddenly, a voice pierced the storm. "Auntie Kem, your papa say make you come quick." A man had come. He wanted to marry her. Kem froze, not from excitement, but confusion. What kind of man comes to propose to a poor blind girl in the middle of a storm? She tied her wrapper tighter and stepped into the rain, her bare feet sinking into soft mud as she followed the voice home. Inside the hut, the air smelled of smoke, roasted ground nuts, and something else. Cologne. Clean. Expensive. "My daughter, come sit," Baba Fad said nervously. The man spoke at last. "My name is Iola. I live near the riverbank. I came to ask for your hand in marriage." "Why me?" Kem asked. "You know I cannot see." "I don't need your eyes," he replied calmly. "I need your heart." The words stayed with her long after the rain stopped. That night, Kem traced the wooden window frame with her fingers. She didn't trust easily. Something about Iola's calm unsettled her. "You're hiding something," she whispered into the darkness. The next morning, the village woke in shock. Iola had moved into Baba Fad's compound with only a bag, a mat, and a wrapper. He said he would live like them until Kem decided. The villagers laughed. Who marries a blind girl and moves into poverty? But Iola swept, fetched water, farmed, and stayed silent. Slowly, laughter turned into curiosity, then respect. One night, Kem found Iola sitting alone under the mango tree. "You speak like someone who's seen cities," she said. "Maybe I have," he smiled. They sat in silence, not awkward, but honest. For weeks, Iola lived like a villager. He never flattered Kem, never promised anything. He simply showed up. At the market, mockery returned. "Is that not the blind girl?" Before Kem could speak, Iola stepped forward. "She walks better than you see," he said coldly. The market fell silent. Kem felt pride, not shame. By the riverbank, Kem asked, "Why do you defend me?" "Because you are worth defending." That night, she dreamed of light, and then darkness again. She woke trembling. Something was coming. One morning, Iola was gone. No word, no message. The village whispered again. "He done run." Kem said nothing. She listened. At sunset, Iola returned with a powerful elderly man, his uncle, Chief Aladiji. "You do not know the truth," the chief said. Iola confessed. He was the sole heir to a vast business empire. He had walked away from it all. Kem stood silent, torn between rain and fire. By the river that night, Kem asked, "Why would you choose me?" Iola waited for forgiveness, for truth. Her father later said, "Don't throw away a man who sees you with more than his eyes." Kem remembered her mother's words. Even in darkness, your heart can still choose light. She cried not from pain but release. Kem held the small carved stone tightly. For the first time in days, she smiled. That evening, back at the compound, she found Iola sitting quietly as always, this time peeling oranges. She stood before him. He looked up, surprised. She hadn't called his name since the truth came out. "Yes, I have something to say." He dropped the knife, sat straighter. "I am not whole," she said. "I don't have my sight. I don't have riches. I don't even have confidence most days. But I know now I have something more important than all of that. I have someone who stayed." Iola blinked, lips parting in disbelief. Kem stepped forward slowly, carefully. "If you still want me, I will marry you." The wind picked up. The mango tree swayed, and he stood, tears in his eyes. "Kem, I never stopped wanting you." She smiled softly. For a moment, a flicker of light felt as though it had entered her world. Kem Fad, the blind girl everyone pitied, was now engaged to the humble stranger who had turned out to be a billionaire in disguise. The village gasped. "You mean she talk?" "Yes. So na poor man disguise bring him love. E fit be jazz ordinary girl like that." But Kem didn't care. For once, the world could say what it wanted. She had made her choice and peace had followed. Preparations began. Not a grand Lego-style wedding with flashy cars and caterers. No, this was a Ponloa village. Weddings were about drums, sweat, and love. The compound became alive. Women pounded yam under the sun. Children ran around with garlands of hibiscus. Elders carved a new bench for the ceremony. Yet even in the joy, a shadow returned. That night, Iola received a tense phone call under the mango tree. Kem, hidden nearby, listened. "No, I'm not coming back," Iola said. "I've made my decision. She's my wife now. If my father wants to disown me, let him. I didn't choose this life to be a puppet." Kem's heart skipped. She stood, confused, but Iola ended the call, head in his hands. He hadn't noticed her yet. The next day, Iola moved quietly but continued helping with chores. Kem felt the difference. He was carrying something heavy, hiding it behind silence. That evening, she asked, "Iola, who?" "Shadows." Kem and Iola returned to Opanoa, where life continued with renewed vigor. The village thrummed with energy. Children ran barefoot across the sun-baked paths, their laughter carrying across the river. Women pounded yam, sang, and braided hair. Elders offered wisdom with pride and joy. But now, the compound had a new aura: hope, strength, and an unbreakable sense of belonging. Tund, now taller and wiser, ran to greet them every morning. Kem held his hand as he recounted his lessons, his triumphs small and large. The girls she mentored followed her like shadows, learning not just literacy or craft, but courage, resilience, and the kind of love that sees and uplifts. Evenings were the couple's quiet sanctuary. By the river or beneath the mango trees, they spoke softly, laughed easily, and sometimes said nothing at all. In silence there was understanding. In touch there was reassurance. The village celebrated their love, but they lived it quietly, profoundly, in the simple acts of presence and devotion. The corneal transplant had changed more than Kem's sight. It had revealed the spectrum of life, the vibrant colors of the river reeds, the golden hue of dawn, the soft blush of hibiscus petals. But the most vivid sight of all was Iola's unwavering love. Something Kem had always felt, now mirrored in the brightness of her eyes. Years passed, and the legacy of their union rippled through Opanoa. The school thrived, the health center saved countless lives, and the village grew stronger, safer, and happier. Kem and Iola, now parents, taught their children to value love, integrity, and courage. Their story became legend. The blind girl who saw with her heart, the man who chose love over power, and the village that learned to rise together. And in quiet moments, when the sun dipped low and the river whispered against the reeds, Kem would close her eyes, not out of necessity, but to remember the darkness that once made her strong, and the light that would now guide generations to come.